Starting with Daily Trust Saturday, as always, we have to start with our own paper. And the major story here is meet ex-inmates who turned a new leaf. This is more like a human interest story, and you can find details of this story on pages 6 and 7. The writer here, I earn 150,000 naira monthly from shoemaking. Another wrote, Holy Quran, learned carpentry, now a family man. I bagged BSc, MSc, wrote 7 books, 157 songs. NCOs will continue to reform lives of inmates, spokesperson. So that means it's not entirely terrible for someone to go to prison. You can also turn a new leaf when you return. But you can find details of this story on pages 6 and 7. Now, below that, we have politics. Inside politics, Kogi Governor Bello's last-minute actions raise dust. Yes, we can find details of that story on page 25 to find out what's happening inside of Kogi State. The lead here, Supreme Court affirms Nasarawa, Gombe, Delta, 3 other governors' elections, reserves verdict on Rivers, Sokoto, Taraba. Protest in Nasarawa as police arrest 38. Perhaps the Supreme Court's judgment is really unsettling to some of the residents in Nasarawa State. Hence, they had their protest shortly after the Supreme Court judgment. But you can find details of this story on page 4. Below that, we also have, we won't accept relocation of Palestinians to Africa. This is Envoy saying this. Details of that story on page 8. Kano Emirates issue will be revisited. This is Kwankwaso saying this. I'm sure you would recall what happened with the former Emir of Kano and all of the issue concerning Kano Emirates. But Kwankwaso is saying the issue will be revisited. But you can find details of that story and what he means by the issue being revisited on page 10 of the Daily Trust Saturday. And now, above the nameplate, we have entertainment. With Netflix, other streaming sites, Kannywood's problem solved. Okay, you can find details of that story. This is Naziru Dan Hajia saying this. You can find details of that story on page 12. And the last story on the front page of the Daily Trust Saturday, First Jos powered tricycle rider shares experience. You can find, it's a feature story. You can find details of that story on page 28. I recall when I saw that story, I did say it was a good invention for someone to be able to power their tricycle with gas and not petrol. So that's the much we're taking.
A lot is happening.
Yeah.
You know, like you remember in Maiduguri, there was a guy that invented a car that could actually, you know, work with electricity.
Right.
So
right.
you know, if you know people come out to invent things like that, the government should support them.
Diversifications like this should be supported.
Yeah.
But that's the much we can take on the Daily Trust Saturday this morning.
Okay, so let's quickly move to the Punch Saturday. The major story there says how bandits terrorizing Abuja hide in Kaduna forest abandoned by military. Kidnappers exploit porous unmanned borders between vast forests. Niger, Nasarawa, FCT. Police deploy 600 personnel to prosecute special anti-terror operations. Military says camp still in use. You can find all that story on page 4. Over 87 FCT residents killed, 176 kidnapped under Tinubu investigation. You can find that story on page 4 and 5. And then by the side, they said, how Prophet TB Joshua healed me of epilepsy, synagogue member. You can find that story on page 13. I worked as a cleaner while pregnant in 200 level. Futimina, first class graduate. You can find that story on page 15, I beg your pardon. And then Fola Shade, Sariyu, Liz Ajuro fight over husband. Okay, now that's a entertainment story, which I know it will be trending on social media by now because you know they are popular people. You can find that story on page 18. Sumaya, pardon me, Aisha. I don't know what's happening with people, you know, putting their private lives out there. That you know that people have to even chip in to say one or two things.
No,
you know,
a lot
like
of people have gotten really comfortable with social media, that they don't mind putting out any kind of information at all on social media, which I don't think Well, people have the right to do whatever they want to do, but then I don't think it really,
well, it will affect their mental health at the end of the day, because people will come out and say both negative and positive things about what they're putting. You know, every time you post something, you definitely find people saying good things, bad things, which will take a toll on your social, mental health. So that's the much we can take on the Punch this morning.
So we'll move over now to the next paper this morning, which is The Nation. The major story there, we have Supreme Court dashes PDP's hopes in Ogun, Kaduna, Nasarawa. Well, and the writer there upholds elections of Abiodun, Sani, Sule, Yahya, Idris, Oborewori. Another writer there, PDP supporters protest court's verdict in Lafia. Respect court's decision, Sule tells Nasarawa people. Our victory impetus to do more. Our victory impetus to do more, says Abiodun. You can find details of all of these stories regarding the Supreme Court verdict in these states and how people are reacting to these verdicts on page 4 of The Nation Saturday. And below that, we have police arrest Abuja kidnapper. The writer there, military kills 3 terrorists, intensifies FCT patrols. Bandits invade army estate, kidnap 2. Well, earlier on the show, we did talk about how there is a rising spate of insecurity in Abuja, and now police has arrested an Abuja kidnapper. You can find details of this story on page 6. This only goes to show that the security are trying their best to ensure there is adequate and efficient safety within the nation's capital. And just above the nameplate, we have Emefiele pleads not guilty as corruption trial begins February 12. You can find details of this story on page 2. Emefiele is saying he's not guilty. However, details of that story on page 2. My husband's benefactor defiled me in presence of our children. That's quite a sad one. Housewife recounts ordeal, accuses police of detaining husband. Now the police is involved again, but you can find details of this particular story, how her husband's benefactor has defiled her right in the presence of her children.
Well, that's a sad one.
Very sad one.
Something like that happens, in front of your children. You'll be wondering the trauma they might have to go through, and what you would have to deal with
the children forever.
Yes, so.
Now the picture story there, you can see the First Lady of Kenya amongst other dignitaries there, and just beside the picture story, Ibadan explosion, more body parts recovered. Hotel manager dies of heart attack. Tales of lucky escape as victims recall ordeal. It's quite a sad one. Ibadan people are still recounting their losses, and they are still grieving. They are still going through all of the trauma that has to deal with the explosion that rocked parts of that particular town. But you can find details of this story on page 3 and 11 of The Nation newspaper. And another picture story there, you can see the Ogun State Governor, Dapo Abiodun, probably hailing his supporters. But you can find details of all of this story on The Nation Saturday.
Okay, so let's take a look at The Guardian. The major story there, discordant tunes over Tinubu's plan to deploy forest guards to curb kidnappings. You can find that story on page 2. And then above the major story there, it says Wives Association standing tall, filling gender gaps. You can find that story on page 24 and 25. Women still suffer exclusion when it comes to access to land and other natural resources. You can find that story on page 13. And then the writer there says, sacked Plateau PDP lawmakers were exploring legal political solutions. Mufwang. You can find that story on page 3. Nka declares no pay, no service to recover over 47 billion debt by airlines. You can find that story on page 29. Fresh tension in Kano over plan to visit or revisit Sanusi's dethronement. You can find that story on page 3. Aisha, what do you think about this? The whole election and, revisiting and, saying Abba won and what have you. That actually didn't really cause tension. Like, I think this story is causing tension. What do you think about that?
Well, I see the thing with election and also in Kano State, right? I think Kano is a bit too dicey for one to want to just put their mouth and talk about what's happening there. Whenever anything has to do with Kano and then say we're going to court or there's election, you know, tension is high.
And you know, people are actually scared when things like that are happening in states where the population is actually large, you know, because you don't know what will happen. But then, you know, I remember a couple of, I think sometime last year or 2 years back, when people were saying, oh, maybe Sanusi may come back to his throne. But how is that possible? You know, people, I don't know, we'll just leave that to the, you know, social media analysts and FBIs that are on social media to find out what is really happening on that. Okay, so you can find that story on page 3. A governorship tussle. Supreme Court affirms election victories of 6 governments. You can find that story on page 3. Arewa youths kick against plan to move CBN fan department to Lagos. You can find that story on page 3. Now that's a topic that yesterday, you know, we're kind of looking at that. They shouldn't move, you know, a CBN fan to Lagos. Aisha, you know, Nigerians will always have a say. I think, you know, the government should listen to its citizens when they are making, you know, suggestions about stuff like that, because
well, the thing is, whenever they make decisions like this, they always say it's in the best interest of Nigerians. However, whatever the backlash would be, I don't think they really put all of that into consideration, because they tell you they must have looked at the pros and the cons of everything, and all in all, it's in the best interest of Nigerians. Although a lot of people are coming out to say, why do you have to move funds, headquarters to Lagos
and even
all
CBN,
that?
yeah.
Anyways, we'll move over to the next paper this morning, which is Saturday Tribune. And the major story here is Miyetti Allah's security outfit invitation. Miyetti Allah's security outfit invitation to anarchy. This is the Middle Belt leader saying this. The Middle Belt will come up with its own. It is an open thing now. Each group should come up with its own vigilante. We'll also create our own, and when they attack, we'll also know what to do. Miyetti Allah, which has been the aggressor, is again creating a vigilante, legalizing what they have been doing covertly. If the government wants to solve the problems, let's have state police to stop all this nonsense.
What do you think about that?
Okay, like I always
because
say,
I feel like the kidnappers, you know, even on social media, because everything, you know, most of the analysis of things like that you find on social media when people will be saying, oh, vigilantes will do more, and then the bandits or terrorists in those axes are actually scared of vigilantes, because, you know, there might be people that know them, or they know what they are capable of. But I think, like, you know, we always think the state police is also a very important.
Yeah, state policing is important.
Peace, yeah.
Is important. However, I think it has to be governments of each state have to come together and say, okay, is this the best for us? Is this state policing? Is it vigilante groups? Is it now we're talking about Miyetti Allah security outfit. You remember in the southwest we have the Amotekun and all of those security outfits. So I just think it's something that is peculiar with each state. You need to come up
with a strategy
and with a strategy to tell yourself, okay, which do you think work best for us?
And then they can have a uniform, you know, way of tackling these insecurity issues.
Well, you can find details of this Miyetti Allah security outfit, an invitation to anarchy. This is the Middle Belt leader saying this. You can find details of that on page 5 of the Tribune. And below that, we have Supreme Court affirms election of Ogun, Gombe, Delta, Kaduna, Nasarawa, Kebbi governors. The rider there, protests in Nasarawa over judgment. You can find details of it on page 3 and page 13 of the Tribune. Dangote Refinery begins registration of product distributors. You can find details of that on page 20. Will come after you, Wike promises kidnappers. Well, that's a strong one there, and I'm super proud of our Abuja landlord saying he's going to come after kidnappers.
So is that the name that they call him, Abuja landlord?
He's our landlord.
Oh my goodness, Nigerians will always find something to attach to someone, you know.
So that's Wike saying that. You can find details of that on page 6, saying he's going to come after the kidnappers.
I love the confidence, and I think think the kidnappers or bandits across the country, not just Abuja, you know, should be scared.
They
because,
should.
you know,
They
if
should.
one person starts, the other can actually adapt the same behavior.
Now, crisis brews in PDP over national secretary post. Governor Makinde backs BOT chair against Anyao. You can find details of this story on page 6. This Fourth Republic has been a disaster. This is Senator Adeyeye saying this. Page 16 and 17 has details of that particular story. And above the nameplate on the Saturday Tribune, Fulani gunmen kill 2 soldiers, 2 villagers in Benue. You can find details of that story on page 20. There's still a lot going on in Benue State, but there's always going to be back and forth. It's either the farmer header, Fulani, and all that, Fulani men. But then details of this story on page 20 of Saturday Tribune. Ibadan blast. Bodija Estate commences identification of all residents. Oyo Obas, PFN, commiserate with Oyo Governor, victims, relations. Details of all of this on page 4 and 29 of the Saturday Tribune.
Okay, so let's take a look at Saturday Vanguard. Supreme Court verdict. Court sends 38 protesters to prison in Nasarawa as jubilation spreads in Delta, Ogun. I survived 38 legal battles to be Governor. Obori, Abiodun Sule Yahaya Idris Sani also win. You can find that story on page 38. How woman 26 stabbed man to death over demand for intimacy. You can find that story on page 32. Dangote Refinery registers Moman, Ipman, Dapman for production distribution. You can find that story on page 6. Now, Aisha, Dangote, the refinery is about to kickstart, and you know a lot is going on. I feel a whole lot of
out there.
You know, I feel there's going to be a reduction when it comes to unemployment because a lot of people would have jobs. And
This is the thing we've always been talking about. If we get our refineries to work, not just refineries, our industries, when we put
our textile industries that are just abandoned.
A couple of weeks ago, I was talking about these refineries and industries with, like, look at textile industry in Kaduna.
Kaduna,
that one is now moribund. It's just there. But I think someone was telling me when it was functional, it had about 40,000 people working.
Yes,
so
it
imagine
is actually
all of those
true.
people out of work.
You know, the industry, the textile industry has gone into coma too. So
but then Dangote Refinery is here now.
It is, but that's what we are saying. We know, you know, it's going to reduce the the unemployment rates because even his other companies, people are actually working. A lot of hundreds and thousands of people are working under him, which has reduced.
Dangote has remained one of the highest employers of labor in Nigeria.
Yeah, so we are proud of him anyways, and we hope that this helps with the insecurity when it comes to the unemployment, because when people have jobs, I feel it's going to take their minds off crimes or committing crimes. So yeah, you can find that story on page 6. And then the major story there says how Tinubu can end insecurity in 6 months by a retired general. Regrets that no president has been decisive with military and consequences of their failure since 1999. Want a definitive order to security chiefs. Says a current strategy weak, already known to terrorist bandits. Our country is sinking. Nigerians, we must begin to protect ourselves. You know, we rightly said that earlier that as individuals, it's our right to protect ourselves. From some crimes happening to us, because you don't predict these things happening. It just happens. And you can see that a retired general is saying, I feel what he's saying is kind of true, that the strategy, bandits are aware of the strategy. The government is always trying to put out there.
There has to be more intelligence. I think these bandits have been very innovative. These kidnappers have been very, very innovative. They have come to know, okay, these are the strategies that the police, the security people are always using.
And it's the same thing, over and over.
It now looks like they are one step ahead of security agents. Operatives. So.
Yes, and then, I think, like I always say, I feel, even with what is going on social media, a lot of people saying, if you want to carry out a plan, don't put it out there, because you know there will be informants, they are watching, they are listening, you know, so they know what you are planning to do. So I think maybe hiding some of the techniques that you want to put out there to tackle these things shouldn't be put out there anymore, so that they can just, you know, carry it out quietly, and then we'll see what happens afterwards. So you can find that story on page 10. And then our victory and impetus to do more, Abiodun, you can find that story on page 34. And then Tokimaki, I don't know what she's saying, but you can check her out on page 6 or 36 of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. And that's it for our newspaper review, or should I say the much we can take. And then when we'll go on a short break. Aisha, when we come back, we'll take a look at or listen to you for you know, to hear what they are going to say to us with the phone line. And then we'll come back to you after this break.
Should I keep quiet? And then we kept saying, can't we teach these people basic business, not hustling? Teach our people entrepreneurship, not hustling. Go to China, Guangzhou, different districts. They can turn fair. Am I saying what you don't know?
So this about this thing.
Yeah, but this time around we are talking about appointment of ministers, where there is an express provision in the constitution as regards that.
Let's come to appointment. You know, it is the status of FCT that the constitution has made is too complicated for people to understand.
However, if you are to go backwards and do a kind of audit, you will be shocked to find that the resources so far expended on the SDGs far outstrips the achievements face to face.
Most of the time when you are involved, it's difficult for you to draw back and have a holistic view, because what? Sentiment would always come to play, because all of us would definitely, I had, like I told you yesterday, I was 100% convinced that you cannot say you are qualified without bringing any document.
Why did you develop this reputation as somebody who is difficult to work with?
I will tell the truth. No matter whose ox is gored, I will say exactly how it is.
This is why I actually sympathize with commissioners of nowadays, where a commissioner sometimes is just a picture. You find somebody, even a cleaner and the governor's wife, can interfere with their abilities.
Even the ministers, there are very many who respected me, simply because I never complained about them. I never went to ask for a favor. Never.
So none of that has happened?
Nothing.
But if it hasn't happened, do you have hope that now another government coming in?
There is no hope.
So you've given up
I've given
politics?
I've given up. It's gone, it's gone.
Retrenchment from work is the most hated thing by unions. It's loss of job means that is loss of life, in fact, for civil servants at that time.
Nigeria's economy, Nigeria's security, Nigeria's intelligence. This is what the materials we were handling. And I thought government would be very interested.
The reasons why you adopted federalism is not because of finesse, not because you like it. It's because of its functional utility.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying. If you're just joining us and you're not aware, this is Daybreak Extra on Trust Television, and we're with you all the way through till 10 o'clock this morning, as we promised to inform you, educate you, and also entertain you. And now this is the discussion segment, or phone-in segment rather, where you'd have to put a call through to us and you contribute to our topic of discuss. And this morning we're looking at insecurity in Nigeria and also how it's affecting our mental health, your mental health. Insecurity in Nigeria has significant impacts on the mental health of its citizens. You would agree with me. Constant threats, violence, and uncertainty can lead to heightened stress, anxiety, and trauma among the population. The fear of attacks, displacement, and loss contributes to a pervasive sense of insecurity, negatively affecting the overall mental well-being of individuals and communities. To join this conversation, you can call or drop a WhatsApp message via the number showing on your TV screen, which is 08075992766. As you call, please do stay away from your TV set to enable us hear you better. We're talking about insecurity and your mental health. How has this affected you? What has this done to you? What kind of trauma has it put you through? I think we should start here first.
Yeah.
What's your take on all of this mental health, insecurity?
So, you know, the thing is, right, Aisha, last year, or should I say early this year when we started with Samaya, I was telling her that one of my New Year resolutions is to wake up one day and not see, you know, bandits attacking this community or this society or, you know, kidnapping, killing.
That's really a strong New Year resolution.
But it was actually the second in my list. The first was for me to go for Hajj this year, which she was so happy to, you know, she wanted to steal from it anyway. But then that was my wish and that's my prayer, and I'm still praying for that, and I'm hoping that will happen, because people are going through a lot. There are people that literally told me they couldn't sleep because of, you know, certain things that's happening. Look at the explosion in Kaduna, you know, and then look at the explosion that happened in Ibadan, and then the fire outbreaks, you know, a lot of things happening to people, losing their properties, their lives, their loved ones. Already we have a caller. Good morning.
Interesting. Good morning.
I'm watching your program live.
Okay. Welcome to the program.
Your name and location, please.
I'm calling from Kaduna.
Okay. Your name and location. Oh, sorry, your name.
My name is Kabir. I'm calling from Kaduna.
Okay, Kabir. Thank you so much. You can go ahead with your contribution.
My prayer for the government is that the tackling of the insecurity should work for the 6 months. That is my prayer.
Okay. How has the insecurity affected your mental health in any way?
Actually, nothing I can say about it, but I'm praying. I'm just praying that the God to make the federal government to solve the issue of insecurity that is facing the country. That is just my idea.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Kabir. I think Kabir doesn't really have much to say. He's praying and wishing the government should do something.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kabir. Okay, so yeah, you know, right, you know, the call is going to keep coming, and people will definitely give us their, you know, their take on what the government should do and how it's also affecting, because I know that a lot of people are not happy with the situation in the country.
I think I'll go first to talk about this mental health issue. I think maybe people are not getting the picture what we're talking about when we say mental health. So there is anxiety, there is depression. There is trauma. Let's say for someone who has gone through one of the, say, insecurity issues, say maybe you have gone through, you've had your fair share in the hands of kidnappers, say within the FCT. I can only talk about the FCT because this is where we're staying. I recall I had this one chance experience sometime, although it didn't happen all the way through. Okay, we have another caller. I'm going to come back to my own experience. Odile. So, good morning. Where are you calling us from?
Your name and location, please. Can you lower the volume of your phone?
Your TV set or something.
Is it a TV? It sounds like a noise where he is. Or do call us back, please, because we can barely hear you. Okay, so Aisha,
okay,
you were saying.
So back to what I was saying. So I remember it didn't happen all the way through. I think I was coming from Kubwa side, coming down to Utako, and that was my very first experience.
Yeah, I remember. I remember when you walked in.
It was my very first experience in Abuja, and I had to come for a morning show like this that day, and so I came down and I took a cab. I know I didn't take it at a designated park. That I would say was my fault. However, I took this cab and they weren't suspecting at all. Like the people in the vehicle,
they looked normal, like every other passenger.
Do you understand? And then I entered this vehicle, and then with the movement and the way they were behaving and the whole strategy, everyone in Abuja would understand the kind of strategy that they use. If you have had one experience or two, or you must have heard from somebody, you'd know the kind of strategy they use. And when I eventually realized that these people are one chance operators, I just said, you know what? I'm alighting. I want to come down from the vehicle. And they didn't even make a fuss. I came down and immediately they sped off. And that was when it dawned on me that I had just had an experience. I was there. I was shaking. I think for the better part of that week, even throughout that month, I had my fair share of trauma. So that's part of the mental health issues we're talking about.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Your location, your name and your location, please.
I'm Pastor Haruna from Usa in Taraba State.
Okay, thank you so much for calling us this morning. Go ahead with your take.
God bless you. This insecurity in Nigeria, it has become a very worse situation because, you see, many people are running away from Usa in particular because of this insecurity to Jalingo. When they reach Jalingo, the insecurity still follow them. They run away from Jalingo, Taraba State to Abuja. Abuja now is not safe. Now, where are people going to run to? But the big men, they have security. Why is it that they cannot make security to be there for the villages? So that people will not just be running from villages to the town. So may God also help us so that, yes, the government will look into this case. In 6 months, as you say, tinubu wants to do something within 6 months.
Okay, so Pastor, has the insecurity affected your mental health in any way? You know, maybe you've seen what has happened to some people close to you.
Exactly. In this case, since last 2 years, nobody has anything called peace. You have no peace, you have lost loved ones, you have lost your money, you have lost everything, even sense of reasoning. Even people believe in God. Many people, they don't even believe as if God is hearing their prayers anymore because you need to keep on rising. Keep on rising. Day by day, you sleep with one eye closed in your own house. Many people have left their home that they do with their hard-earned money. Many people have run away. And even in the church, it is affecting even churches, even mosques. So it affects a lot of people, even myself personally. It affects me because there are many people that, yes, supposed not to be my responsibility, but now they now become my responsibility.
Right.
So please, you should continue in this campaign and let the government hear us so that they can be able to do something very quickly. If you see the police station where we have here, when the insecurity was there, police are only guiding themselves because they cannot go anywhere. No machinery. They don't have even weapon up to the those that are pursuing and killing people.
Thank you so much.
It's only when the people have died that they kill people that they will rush good there. They will go there after 1 day, they will just come back. And tomorrow again, another thing will happen. Is that how they control the insecurity?
Thank you so much for your contribution this morning. From what you have said, I can hear fear, apprehension, and also you're calling on the government to do their part in securing the lives and property of citizens in Nigeria. Thank you so much for your contribution. We do hope that this goes out to the government, and we're also on our own part as media, we're going to keep conversing and campaigning. So the security that we so want in the country, we get it. Thank you for your contribution this morning.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You know, like he rightly said, you know, it doesn't really have to happen to you for you to go through the anxiety or depression or the trauma.
You know,
because
it doesn't even have to happen to you personally.
That's what I'm saying.
Even if it's just you're hearing this happen to your neighbor. Okay, so I heard about what happened in some estates in Lube, and I stay around that area. And then these estates are very close to my side. And then I'm like, I pass through this particular place every day.
So you'll be cautious every day because you'll be having this fear of being
now
attacked.
I have this fear and anxiety whenever I have to pass
because
through
you don't
that
know what
estate.
will come. You know, so
I don't know what
it.
to expect. So it's not just about whether it's happening to you or not. So long as you can hear that it has happened to somebody, you just put yourself in that person's shoe and you're like, what if this happens to me? What if this happens to me?
And then don't forget to send us WhatsApp messages as well if you can't reach us via the phone numbers showing on your screen. And then Aisha, you know, I've had my own share of the trauma and anxiety, not just you know, what has happened to close people that I know, or you know, friends or families, but even, you know, what is happening to Nigerians is enough to put you in that situation, because these are people's lives that they are losing. People are losing their loved ones.
And I think Nigerians have moved from oh, we are not feeding well, we're not clothing well, we're not living well. I think the main concern of Nigerians now is security.
You know, so, and last week, I remember, okay, we have a caller. Good morning.
Good morning.
Your name and location, please.
My name is Collins. I'm calling from...
Please, can you reduce the volume? Can you tone down the volume of your TV set? We can hear your voice coming back.
Okay, can you hear me well now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. So I'm watching you live from Benin State, Boko, precisely.
Lower the volume of your TV set so that we can hear you. Your voice is bouncing back.
What about now? Can you hear me properly?
So it's better now. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
My name is Collins. I'm calling from Boko in Benin State.
Okay, Collins, good morning and
Benin.
welcome to the show. What's your contribution this morning?
My contribution is that this issue of mental health regarding the security in Nigeria, the security situation in Nigeria is affecting everybody.
Right.
Except if somebody is not aware. But even if you are not aware, it is affecting everybody. Everybody lives in fear now because there's nowhere that is safe. You hear about insecurity everywhere. While I was watching this program, I see so on the headline that an army officer and 2 others have been killed in Agatu in Benin State. These are unimaginable things and they keep happening.
Right.
We want to call on the Nigerian government this time to get it right about the security situation. Let it not be business as usual.
Right.
All right. Thank you so much, Collins. Thank you so much for joining us this morning and for your contribution. We hope that the government will do something, you know, from what you all have been calling to say and contribute on this topic of discussion. So, Aisha.
But then again, I think we can only just keep saying we hope the government does something, the government does something. The government on their own part are saying they are doing something. I mean,
well, we can't say that they are not doing anything at the end of the day, because
it's just
see that
we're not seeing the impact of these things that they're doing.
So
right,
let's come back to that. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Your name and location, please. And can you turn down the volume of your TV set, please?
All right. I'm Monday from Mukana, Akwa Ibom State.
Okay, Monday from Akwa Ibom. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. What's your take on the topic what we are discussing today?
Really, when we talk of the security, it looks like the politicians that have it now. The politicians now are controlling up to 50 to 60 security, while the villagers are suffering security to protect them. So we have to look into it, because it's not the best in a country like Nigeria. Thank you.
Okay, Monday, I'd like to know, how has this affected your mental health?
Really, you know, to even go out to urinate is something of fear. And to enter a car to either the next local government is something of fear because this is insecurity. You don't know what is happening in that very side.
You don't know what to expect, really.
And then when you come to the media like you are discussing now, you will even fear either what is happening in Abuja there, your brothers and sisters are staying there. And when you say come home, it's not even easy to pass through the road.
Thank you so much for your contribution this morning, Monday from Akwa Ibom. I'm hearing fear. I keep hearing fear from all of the callers calling in. But then we can only just say you have to try as much as possible to ensure that you maintain a stable and sane mental health, because security is a personal responsibility, irrespective of how much we're calling on the government, the authorities, the police, and other security operatives to take charge to ensure that our security is ensured and restored. It's still a personal responsibility. Okay. And we have another caller joining us this morning. Good morning, and where are you calling us from?
Morning, and where are you calling me from?
Good morning, my name is Paul.
Please, I didn't get that.
Please, can you turn down the volume of your TV set? Can you turn down the volume of your TV set, please?
Yes, I've done that.
Okay.
So your name and location, please. Yes, we can hear you.
My name is Paul Mahmoud.
Okay.
Okay. Did I hear Tom from Owerri?
I thought I had. Okay, Simon or Tom from Kogi State. Okay, thank you so much for joining us.
Paul Mahmoud.
Okay, Paul, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So let's have your take on our topic this morning.
Yes, I'm seeing it now. What I want to tell you this morning is this. All the northern governors, are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Not
all the governors, all the northern governors, with the head of state, that is tinubu, all the senators from the north, all the House of Representatives from the north.
Why the north? Why the north?
Beg them. This one is true. I'm in the northern state now. Let them beg these people. If you cannot beat them, join them. You understand? They are too much everywhere. You can't sleep. I say I was kidnapped in 2022. Up to this minute, if I don't take drugs, I don't sleep. So that one is actually affecting me badly. So let them beg them for us. They know them. Let them beg them.
Paul, I'm happy you're calling us this morning. I'm very particular about your case because you're someone who just said you were kidnapped sometime back. And I can only imagine what you've been going through. You did mention that you're unable to sleep. Maybe sometimes you still can't sleep the way you ought to sleep. How has it been for you so far? I mean, your experience all through, your family, what kind of support have you gotten just to help your mental health? Hello, Paul. Are you still there?
I think we've lost Paul.
We lost him.
Yeah, I think we've lost Paul. You know, I understand. Okay, we have another caller. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Your name and location, please. And can you turn down the volume of your TV set?
All right. Okay, so calling from the state.
Sorry?
Yes.
We didn't get that. Your name and location, please.
Okay, Umaru calling from Ebonyi State.
Umaru calling from Ebonyi. I can still hear myself and Aisha on your background right now. Can you please turn down the volume of your TV set? Or do call us back.
Yes, we can hear you. So go ahead.
All right. This country has affected our mental health in so many ways.
Okay.
For instance, one of not being able to do it maybe for some days is not mentally healthy because of the challenges we're facing.
I can barely
You can't come out to urinate in the night. You can't go out freely. There's nothing you do freely in this country anymore. Even if you like to buy food for your face, what is your face when we have that.
I think we have to drop this call, and maybe you can call us back again because we can barely hear you. There's some sound coming from your end. You can call us back or drop a WhatsApp message on the same number you're calling us from. You know, Aisha, I understand what, the last caller is, his anger, his agitations. I could understand that, it's not easy, even though we have not been there, we've not been in his shoes, it's not easy to be kidnapped and then be released. Even coming out alive is something to be grateful for, but then the trauma is something that you cannot do away with. Okay, so let's take some WhatsApp messages, and this is coming from His Royal Highness Alhaji Muhammadu Baba Indanoko Sekion Wasa of Lokoja Zaki. And he said, good morning, Trustee. We trust you all are well. Insecurity, whether it's about one's personal or professional life, can have a profound impact on mental health. Right now, the insecurity in Abuja is as a result of failure to secure its people. Oftentimes, citizens were left to injustice of leadership. They all ran out of state to Abuja. Today, the crime is at their safe abode. This is a wake-up call to them all. When someone feels insecure, they may experience anxiety, depression, or even self-doubt. They may have trouble focusing on work or other tasks and may have trouble sleeping. Over time, insecurity can lead to feelings of hopelessness and helplessness. I have a journey to Kaduna, but I'm not sure and feel secure, so I'm not sure and I don't feel secure. I can't anymore. Until the government takes security of low class like us seriously, there will not be any meaningful development or growth in the country, and it will affect the economic activities of the country, and you and I will feel the impact immensely. They should note this too. This can cause someone to withdraw from friends and family and can lead to isolation and loneliness. Insecurity can also lead to negative self-talk and low self-esteem. So it's clear that insecurity can have a significant impact on mental health. And thank you so much.
That's a lot from His Royal Highness.
He's a diplomat writer.
Alhaji Muhammad Baba Idanoko Sarkin Wasa of Lokoja Zaki. That's
he's always, he has always given us an in-depth explanations and his take on, every topic that we come up with every Saturday.
And now he's saying that insecurity can lead to feelings of hopelessness and helplessness.
Okay,
we have another caller on the line. Good morning. What's your name and location, please?
Well, this is Fidelis from Asaba, Director.
Thank you so much, Fidelis, for joining us on the program. But you may have to turn down the volume of your TV sets just so we can hear ourselves, because I can hear myself in the background.
Okay, I have turned it down.
Okay. You're welcome to Daybreak Extra on Trust TV. So what's your take on our topic this morning?
I think it is high time we talk to ourselves. Nigerians, we really have to talk to ourselves. At first, we always blame the politicians and our leaders for the insecurity in Nigeria. But it's high time to talk to ourselves and that politicians have to get serious. Now, everybody's feeling the heat. Whether you're in Abuja, whether you're in Delta, whether you're in Imo States, whether you're in Niger, everybody is feeling the heat. It's time we tell ourselves the truth. And once we start telling ourselves the truth, we start getting it right. We don't let that time for the politicians to sit in their mansions and surrender themselves with policemen and military men and think that all is well. It can never be well. It can never be well.
But I'd like to hear from you personally, though. I'd like to hear from you personally. How has this affected your mental health?
Of course, we are living in fear. I can't travel to Abuja where I do. I can't visit my friend in Kaduna. I'm afraid. It's terrible. I can't go to Lagos freely. I'm afraid of being kidnapped. a friend of mine just called the father, a common brother was kidnapped, and they are buying for 150 million.
Wow.
They end up paying 1 million. They have to borrow. They have to borrow. They even call me to borrow money to pay for their friend, for their father. 1 million naira. Now they paid 1 million naira. The man had been rich. Now they're going to get the money to pay the best tax. It's terrible. So it's not even only the rich, not the poor. Everybody is a target. They do random kidnapping. Before kidnapping, you normally go look out for the big guys and catch them. But now they just do random kidnapping. The poor man is not free. The rich man is not free. So we are very careful. We really know how to talk to ourselves, and government need to talk to themselves. It's not about being in our soil. It's about taking responsibility of their actions. Everybody is afraid. Both the rich. And that's why many people are living in Nigeria the more. Both the rich, both the poor. We need to talk to ourselves and get it right.
Thank you so much for your contribution this morning. I understand that this particular insecurity threat, it's not just for, there's no particular target, it's just anybody. You just have to be watchful and mindful of your security. And now we have to take another WhatsApp message. This is from Joel Baba Alpha. He's a conflict manager from Jos Plateau State, and he says, social insecurity marked by factors like economic instability or political unrest can deeply impact mental health on a collective level. The constant stress and fear stemming from such insecurity can lead to widespread anxiety and distrust. Moreover, when a society grapples with these challenges, it becomes susceptible to conflicts as people may seek outlets for their frustrations or vie for control in uncertain times. So, tackling societal insecurity is crucial, not just for stability, but also for safeguarding the mental well-being of communities at large. So, and he's probably preferring ways we can curb insecurity. And he says, 1, investing in economic stability through job creation and social welfare programs can alleviate societal insecurity by providing people with stable employment and essential services. And his second way to curb insecurity is promoting inclusive governance with transparent decision-making processes, addressing the root causes of insecurity, fostering trust and stability within the society. That's a huge take from Joel Baba Alpha, and we do appreciate your contribution on the program this morning. And I cannot but agree with what he's saying. I couldn't even agree more with all he has said on that particular message.
like I rightly said, every time, either Joel or Baba, okay, we have another caller. Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Your name and location, please.
Mohammed Modibo calling from Gombe State.
Thank you so much, Mohammed Modibo, for calling us. Let's hear your take on the topic of discussion.
Yeah, let me start by saying the issue of insecurity in Nigeria is lamentably complex. The primary responsibility of every responsible government is to protect the lives and properties of citizens. But as it is today, Nigerians are in bondage as a result of insecurity. Nigerians cannot move freely in their own country from one end to another, be for ceremonies or tourism, visiting tourism sites as it were in those days when people travel for fun to visit tourist sites. No one can do that again in this country as a result of insecurity. So I think the best thing for us to do as a government is to ensure that the sister security agencies work in collaboration with one another. They should share intelligence information among them, and they should try as much as they can to live in harmony. And for the people of Nigerians, they should try to fish out bad eggs among us, those who are aiding and abetting these criminals, who are assisting them and giving them information, pinpointing people for them to kidnap and get money. And we have to also ensure that we do away with condoning impunity as a government. Anybody who is caught in this act, he should be dealt with according to the law of the land. Let there be no sacred cows when it comes to serving justice. Let people be treated equally. And Nigerians should also bear this at the back of their mind, that there is no any section of this country that is not having its own peculiar security challenges. So there is not anywhere in this country that is safe today. So Nigerians want to be free and salvage from this terrible and unacceptable situation. A situation that is trying to bring the country down on its knees economically, because there is no way this thing is affecting our economic growth and development. Because no anybody outside the shores of this country will come and invest under this chaotic and rancorous security situation of our country. So we have to, this security issue is everybody's business. All hands must be on deck for us to get out of this mess. We are hoping and praying that the government will do the needful, let the people also be patriotic enough to do the needful, so as for us to get out of this mess. That is my little check. Thank you very much for this wonderful
opportunity. Thank you so much, Mohammed Modibo. Thank you so much. He's one of our constant callers every Saturday.
From Gombe, right?
And yes, His Royal Highness are always, calling or sending messages to give us in-depth
analysis. But one key
analysis.
thing I took from what he said is that we shouldn't allow impunity. When the authorities and security operatives apprehend these people who are perpetuating this chaos, they should be dealt with, and I couldn't agree more. And another thing he said was insecurity is a responsibility for the government and also individuals. We have another caller calling us right now. Good morning. Your name and your location, please.
Good morning.
Morning. Your name and location, please. Oh, thank you so much, His Royal Highness. Yes, thank you so much for calling.
Thank you. I really feel like speaking to you guys on phone today.
Okay, thank you so much for calling.
The wonderful job you guys are doing, may Allah reward you all.
Thank you. I mean.
The fact is that the insecurity in the country is becoming alarming.
Right.
We the citizens, we don't have opinion in the architectural system of security in the country. And as such, people became aggressive as citizens, that every given opportunity we find people in crime. Until citizens are taken in the systems of security and the well-being of the country. I've seen the method of governance right from historian backgrounds of journalists, one of who that governments are just for the few individual, the way they are taking it till date. You see one person having like 20, 15 police, while a common citizen cannot boast of security to himself. And that is because of the fact that those that are governing the lesser people take it upon themselves to do what they feel is right, not doing what is right for the country. In the sense that they bring people in, ask them what exactly is the problem. I report a case to police just quite recent about a guy that has been taking drugs to streets. And do you know the fullest part of it?
No.
The state police I reported the case to do come to that junction to collect remittance from those people. I have an evidence on this. So what become of a person like me to report such case going forward? When I know the trust is not between myself and the police around me. So these are things that is becoming elaborate and expanding day by day and causing mayhem to the ordinary citizens of this country.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You can never hear any of the government officials being kidnapped. It's just the common people like us. So on conclusion, I really want us to dwell on the fact of taking security of citizens with utmost priority, so that at the end of the day, we'll get it right to where we were to. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
That's quite a heavy allegation on the police operatives. He did say that he reported a case and then he only found out now that the police themselves are also culpable. So that's an allegation.
Yeah, so until proven, even if you have an evidence, until it's put out there, people will still say, oh no, it's not like that. You know, this is not the only story that we've been hearing of, you know, that alleges like that are being rendered on either police or any uniformed person. So, and then don't forget what, you know, I had to go look for the Punch this morning when we said, they said 87, over 87 FCT residents killed and 176 kidnapped under Tinubu within the time that he has become a president, just in Abuja.
And those figures are alarming.
And, you know, and within, from February to January now, you know, so it's actually quite alarming. This is just in FCT. We are not even talked about other parts of the country. And then let's not also forget what the retired general also said about the strategy. Hello, good morning. Where are you calling us from? Your name and location, please.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Omar calling from Katsina.
Thank you, Omar. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering when you started the program, and you said that the responsibility of the government or individuals of that said, I was wondering how are these protect themselves? I think it is very, very important for you to tell the government that it has full responsibility. As far as the Indian I think the best part is to inform the authorities that they are key for the people, and it's not that it's something. I know that it's what to not have arms to confront all people that people very sophisticated to government on the problem of the government is to protect the security, the welfare and the needs of the people. And I'm very concerned with everybody. They are trained in this aspect of law.
Okay, thank you so much for that contribution. We really do appreciate all the calls, you know, and then the good thing is, for those that have been calling trying to hear themselves, you can actually go back and watch this this video when we drop it on our social media handles, so you can actually just record yourself and, you know, share with your loved ones. You know, when you call, you don't have to hear yourself. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. Thank you. So, you know, I was actually saying, you know, it's quite concerning for every Nigerian. You know, when you're discussing issues or topics like this, people always want to be part of it and, you know, lend their own voices and say one or two things.
You know, issues that have to do with security is paramount and it concerns everybody.
Everybody.
Nobody can say, oh no, this doesn't concern me, or I'm not from this particular region, or it's only bothers this region. Because when you even look at it now, it's affecting every region. It's not just the north, it's not just the south. It's everywhere and it's everyone. So we have a caller on the line right now. Good morning, your name and your location, please.
Good morning. I'm Pastor Linus Lunakan.
Okay, Dr. Linus. Where are you calling us from?
Calling from Gombe, Kalchingo local government.
Thank you so much.
So let's have your contribution, please.
Go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah, with the current insecurity in the country, I want to let everyone know that it's affecting psychologically. So when you walk on the street, you have some money with you, you are not safe.
Mr. Linus, you'd have to turn down the volume of your TV. You'd have to turn down the volume of your TV.
Turn down the volume of your TV a bit, because there's a delay.
You are always in a hurry to make things done. And most of the time, you see these people who are having government protect us. Police have given themselves to be big name protectors, political protectors, while we, that they say police is a friend, they are no longer our friends again because they are not protecting our property. They have been protecting people who have money. We that we don't have money, we are on our own. So let everybody know that mentally is affecting us as well. So let everybody decide on his own to take care of his family and take care of his people around him. If you see something that is going on wrong, alert people who can help you. Sometimes we alert police before they will come. Those people have already achieved their aim and have already left. The police will be searching, the army will be searching. Why are they doing all manners of things of which we are not okay with it? So please, I want to tell you that let everyone tighten up his belt. If we think of insecurity is going to come to an end, it's not going to come to an end. Even though we are praying for God's intervention, but the more we pray, the more things get bad because we don't have leaders. But I appreciate what Tinubu is doing now.
Okay.
I appreciate him because he's really trying about the bringing of revival in the armed forces to take responsibility. We pray it's going to work. We pray that he is going to stand by every citizen in this nation, be it a poor, be it a wealthy person. He's going to do justice to every one of us to see that we are protected. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you so much for your contribution this morning.
Thank you so much.
And then we're going to take we're taking another WhatsApp message now. We have this one from Salamatu Adamu Shehu from Kaduna State, and she says insecurity, particularly the fear of kidnapping, have a significant impact on our mental health. It leads to heightened stress, anxiety, and even post-traumatic stress disorder for those directly or indirectly affected. The constant fear of our personal safety contribute to feelings of helplessness and vulnerability, affecting our overall being and daily functioning. Wallahi, I've been very scared throughout this week, and because of these things happening, I didn't go out. That's quite a sad one there from Salamatu.
You know, that's actually a depressing one for her not to even be able to go out. You know, with that fear, it's actually a post-traumatic disorder for her because she's seeing what's happening to other people and she's scared it shouldn't happen to her. But at the end of the day, you know, whether you're in your house or out,
that's what
anything
I was just going
can
to say.
happen.
The funny thing
know?
About this insecurity thing is not you
they invade into people's houses also. Yeah, but then we are not hoping for that.
Indoors, but then these people still come to your
house.
Come
to you as you know your own safety, you know, safe space.
Look
and
at
still
the case
attack
of Buhari, for God's sake. I mean, the man whose daughters
and even the invasion on the army estate yesterday that they invaded, and yes, so you know the whole situation, you know, is just alarming, and we hope that, you know, with all that we have been able to do this morning, the government will hear us, they will hear you, your contributions and your takes, you know, and then look into the whole situation and maybe come up with strategies that they can tackle this insecurity in our country. And you know, it's not just Nigeria, it's everywhere, because when we see things happening to other people in other countries, it's also, you know, affecting us one way or the other, because people are losing their loved ones than their lives.
And drawing from what the callers this morning have said, there has been a number of allegations on the police, and also they're saying the security operatives and outfits are culpable in this insecurity threat that we're having in our country. But this is a call, a wake-up call to the Inspector General of Police and also the commissioners of police across all the states. Just so you know, people are alleging that your men are culpable. However, these are allegations, but we want you to ensure that you put your best foot forward, just so security is a priority, because that is your mandate, that is what you're there for, and you're the only one who we can put our trust on. So, and also, there's also calls to the government to do their part, and also individuals. It remains your right to protect yourself. Yes, we know that it's a primary responsibility of the government. However, it's also an individual responsibility. Ensure you're safe, keep safe, if you see something, say something.
I think that's a slogan. I like that. If you see something, say something.
Right.
I think that's the slogan that we should, have a hashtag on. And then, okay, so that's the much we can take this morning on our phone in and your WhatsApp messages. And we're sorry for those that we have not been able to read their WhatsApp messages. We hope you keep another time with us next week on the Daybreak Extra when we open lines to hear from you again. And let's go on a short break. When we return, we'll go into our first discussion.
We started manufacturing leather since 1958. But the most important thing is that if the system is checked correctly, we won't have where we are now.
If somebody has depression, they may just be very irritable and unproductive in the office. So you find on average already about 1 in 4, 1 in 5 Nigerians already have a mental illness, a mental health condition that needs some form of attention.
No matter how good an economy is, if the federal government goes bust, believe me, everything in the economy is just a matter of time it will go bust. So first of all, about maybe slightly above, below 70% is in federal government securities.
If government has banned importation of fertilizer and the states are doing it at the level of governance, but I believe that production and distribution of fertilizer should be left to the private sector.
This is the general multi-purpose card and it has a chip here. So this chip is about 80 kilobytes. The one that you get from the bank for ATM is just 4 kilobytes. So this is like 20 times.
We just had our phone line discussions on mental health and security, and that's still going to be the discussion. And we have a psychologist with us who is going to be talking to us about our mental health and how insecurity has affected us one way or the other. Insecurity, whether stemming from conflict, violence, or economic instability, can have profound effects on mental health. Individuals exposed to prolonged insecurity may experience heightened stress, anxiety, depression, and trauma. Uncertainty about personal safety, the future, and the well-being of loved ones can contribute to a range of mental health challenges. Addressing both security concerns and providing mental health support is crucial for fostering resilience in affected populations. And we have with us in the studio Coach Tosin Odedele, a behavioral change practitioner. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me this morning.
And okay, so, earlier you came and you watched the discussion, which you were telling us that you picked one or two things from our callers. Can you tell us how prolonged insecurity exposure can affect one's mental health?
So, a good way to start would be to say that security is a very fundamental requirement to fulfilling existence. You need to have what we call peace of mind.
Right.
You need to have some form of stability for you to be able to be productive and live out your full existence to the fullest. And so at any point in time when that stability or peace of mind becomes disturbed, then it will have a form of domino effect on every other thing that affects you. So security is very, very important to an individual's well-being and even to an a nation's economy. So in terms of insecurity, just like the things that you mentioned just when we started the segment, and then I also listened to what His Royal Highness mentioned during the phone-in segment. Anxiety, depression, these are very, very real issues that people are dealing with on a daily basis. And the unfortunate part of it is that it cannot become a disorder. You cannot have a situation whereby people now begin to exhibit anxiety disorder. There was a lady that I think she wrote in and said that she was writing from Kaduna.
Yes.
That she couldn't go out this past week.
Yes, because of fear.
You understand? So if that continues for a very long time, it could become an anxiety disorder, whereby when even everything is sane and calm and all of that, you still don't feel safe to go out and live your normal life and partake in normal activities, as it were. So it's a very, very big issue, and it's something that we really need to pay attention to and begin to find solutions to.
For someone like that, I like the fact that you were drawing from that lady's experience, and you know you're a behavioral coach. I like to know, for someone like that, I know she's still watching, what would you advise she does? Now she's living in fear. She can't even step out of her house. So moving forward, we still know the insecurity threat is still there, even though the authorities are saying they're taking charge. But what do you recommend she does in the interim?
Okay, so I'll say three things, really. The first thing would be that for now, she should stay away from everything that has to do with news items. Okay. Whether it's social media, whether it's your traditional media, because it's as a result of this consistent news item that she's exposing herself to that is resulting to that fact that she's now thinking, oh, what if I go out now? What if... So perhaps you might want to reduce her exposure to news items that she's receiving. Okay. Then the next thing will be that she wants to form a kind of routine when it comes to going out. So you want to say, okay, if I'm going out today, what precautionary steps do I need to take? Okay. If there are certain routines I normally follow when I go out, maybe I want to rejig it. Okay, so maybe I follow a certain route to my home. Maybe if there's an alternative route, I go through that route. Okay, I want to be very, very circumspect with the kind of information I share with people. Okay, so it's not as it is now, you can't afford to share every piece of information about your movement with just anybody. You need to be very, very careful with who you're sharing certain information with, where you work, what you earn, where you're going, the associations and the networks that you keep. These have become very, very vital information that you want to be careful with how you share, because you don't know who you're sharing that information with and what that person is capable of doing, or who has the possibility of picking that information in the process of you communicating with people. So you want to be careful with the kind of information that you share. And then the final thing I would like to say is that if whatever it is that she's going through or that she's feeling is beginning to affect her normal productivity or normal day-to-day routine, she may need to speak to a professional.
You know, so this is just one person that, you know, is saying that I haven't gone out for a week, and we could see how anxiety has taken over, you know, her mindset. Let's talk about communities that are actually facing this insecurity challenges. What are the mental health, you know, signs that, you know, distress these communities are facing? What can you say are these are the things that you can pick out from these communities, and why maybe their mental health is at stake at this point? Okay,
so this past week I was having a discussion with a client, and then we just finished a session, and it was about 7:30 or thereabout, and she said something that really struck me. She said, that she had her sister come visit her, okay, I think late last year. And she found out that the sister was complaining to her that every time she comes in, the doors are locked, the burglary is locked, they are inside the house, but everywhere is locked and all of that. And the sister would be like, open the door, let fresh air come in, let's, you know. And she's like, no, let's lock it. And the sister was asking, why is everybody locking their doors and all of that? And that she remembers that some years ago, you could actually sleep in your balcony, receiving fresh air when there's power outage, and then you be there in the balcony till the next morning. Sometimes you will even be there with friends, and then you just gist through into the night and all of that, but nobody's doing that any longer. So this is something that might be very, very common in those kind of communities. So the things that they would normally do, okay, which they are used to, they won't do those things any longer. So for example, if they had night activities, it's either those things will reduce or they will not happen again. Okay, in situations whereby people could walk alone, perhaps maybe to the stream or to the next village or something, you have to go with guidance, or you have to go at a certain time of the day, or you have to have some form of precautionary steps before you do those movements. So what you find out is that what those people would regard as their normal lives won't be what it is any longer. That's one. Two, situations whereby they would sleep sound and wake up sound, okay, whatever time of the day they normally wake up, won't be what happens any longer. So you have a situation whereby people are waking up, taking turns to secure their community, or they're sleeping, and then at the slightest sound of anything, they're up and they're watching out. So, and you begin to have sleep deprivation, lack of sleep, and eventually all of these things, become health issues over a long period of. So the effect, okay, of insecurity on a community is actually very, very large.
Speaking about normalcy, I recall during the course of this program earlier, a caller called in and he did say he had gone through the hands of kidnappers. He was kidnapped, and now he's battling. Since then till now,
taking pills.
That's in 2022.
Right, and he said he can't sleep. Now, I'd like to hear from you. He's now having distorted sleep patterns. He's no longer having good sleep hygiene. For this particular caller, I'm sure this person is still watching. What would you recommend?
Okay, so I want to believe, because I know I heard he said he takes pills to sleep. So I want to believe that he's already seen a professional. I don't want to believe he's self-medicating. And so if he is seeing a professional, okay, I want to believe that he's been diagnosed and the proper medication has been prescribed to him, and that is what he's taking. And so in the hands of professionals, I think that's the best place to be. They will monitor how he responds to treatment, and if he's not responding well enough, they will know what to do to help him out. So I want to believe that is in the hands of good professionals. If he is not, if he's self-medicating, I would advise that he stops. I would advise that he goes to see a professional. Okay, so when you see a professional will tell you whether you actually need to be on drugs, okay, or whether your own therapy is non-medication. You understand? So sometimes you may need to pop pills. Sometimes you might just need to go through therapist sessions whereby they need to help you change your neurological pathways and all of that. So that is, I want to believe that he's already seen a professional and he's in good hands. If not, I would advise that he sees a professional.
Okay, so Tosin, I would like to ask this question, specifically because of the insecurity and still on the mental health issue, because, there are stigmas. And then I want to know if it has a way of, making people, because it may be prolonged, right? Does it have a way of, becoming a kind of suicidal for people because of the insecurity challenges that they are facing? Because I've seen the lady that committed suicide, and in her notes she stated that the economic hardship and the insecurities are actually taking tolls on her, and hence she committed suicide. So would you say that can actually affect the people in these communities that are going through these challenges?
So one of the side effects of insecurity is that it could actually lead to depression. Okay. And when depression sets in, there's really no limit to what the person can decide to do in that state. When you're in that state of hopelessness, okay, when you're in that state where you feel helpless and you don't see a way out, you don't see how you fit into the brighter side of what is happening, okay, then that person is likely to get into depression, and in that depressing state, if there's no proper help for that person, the person can begin to have suicidal thoughts, okay? And if not checked, if not managed, of course, the person can actually go down that lane. So that's why in moments like this, okay, we also advise that we don't stay away from our loved ones. You don't cut communication away from your loved ones. There's this tendency whereby where you feel that you're now comfortable and you're well-to-do, you don't want to have anything to do with certain people, you want to stay on your own, you want to stay,
to the best of us.
This is not the time to do that. Okay, this is not the time to do that. This is the time for you to be in a close knit of people, okay, that you are consistently communicating with. Even for those of us that are in the urban areas and you're taking healing rides and all of that, it's important that you're sharing details of those movements. This is not the time that you just want to wake up as a husband and say, I'm traveling, and you're not giving details to your wife or your spouse, even as a wife, or you're not telling them where you're going, you're not telling them the details of what it is that you're going to do and all of those other things. This time is not that time that you will engage in those kind of behavior, because it will not help you. Nobody knows what can happen the next minute. Nobody knows who you're going to encounter out there when you go out. So you want to be in constant communication with your loved ones. You're sharing information, you're letting them know about your whereabouts, your movement, and all of those other things. In the event that anything happens, people can know what it is to do. When you're feeling a certain way, okay, reach out to people and tell them, oh, this is how I feel, or how everything is happening right now. I don't even know how I'm feeling. And I like the fact that that lady was able to share her situation. Yeah. Okay, it's not everybody that is vulnerable enough to say, this is how I feel. And you know, some people don't even know how they feel.
That's a step she has taken for her to come out to say
exactly.
that,
Some people don't even know how they feel. All right, so it's important for you to be able to reach out and say, this is how I feel, or I don't even know how I feel, but this is what I'm thinking. And then people will be able to provide support to you and then help you out of that situation, so that you don't get into depression and anxiety disorder.
Okay, so this will bring me to my next question. How do you think the government policies can, you know, actually help, you know, the mental health of its citizens? What policies do you think they can come up with?
I think the simplest or the most important policy that the government needs to take out, which will have a very, very huge ripple effect on everything that we're talking about, is the government being very firm with regards to its security policies and activities and implementation. The reason why we are here is because people have lost hope and trust in the security apparatus, in the security structure of the country.
Yeah.
Okay, this is just a joke. So I think in the last 2 days they've been sharing some numbers of what's the name now, civilian JTF or JTF to call around different. So they shared it in one of those community WhatsApp groups, and then somebody said, "Oh, numbers that you call and nobody will respond to you." And that's about the mindset that a lot of citizens have, that we can't 100% trust our security agencies, security structure. Okay, and I think that is about the simplest and the most basic thing that government can do that can actually bring back confidence and resolve a lot of these issues. If the security structure is seen to be up and doing and active, okay, and people can actually put their trust in the fact that we have a form of security in place, it takes care of every other thing.
I like that you touched on the part of the government. Now let us come back to the part of the citizens. Like we always say, we're here for one another. We're our own support. And you talked about how people should speak up. You know, whatever you're going through, whatever you're feeling, speak up. You know, so there is that courage to want to speak up. And there is also, what about how people are perceiving this thing you're saying, you know. Now, okay, let's say the attitude of a lot of Nigerians now. A lot of things we see on social media is cruise. Everybody just wants to joke about something. So a lot of people who go all the way down to take their own lives, somehow have been stating something on social media, but people just come across them and they laugh about it, don't take them seriously. Now, my question to you now is, how do you think Nigerians and average Nigerians, especially the ones on social media, because that's the niche we should actually be talking about now, how do you think they should change their mindset regarding information that they see and how they respond, because there's a lot of irresponsibility going on social media?
So I'll say this here, that social media is the last place you want to actually go and address mental health issues. It's not the place that you want to go and speak up or find solution, as it were. And this is the reason why I say so. Social media is an open space, as it were, and there's no regulation, and you don't have a control over what people would say and how they will respond to whatever you're putting out there, or whatever it is that you're doing. So social media is a no-no for me. if you were to ask me, with regards to seeking out help and seeking out solutions to mental health issues. The best place to do it is offline. And the first place to find a solution is your social circle, your inner circle. Okay, so everyone must have an inner circle of people that you trust, people that you believe in, and people that
you can confide in.
Exactly, that are a solid support structure to you. That's the first place that you should always seek help from. And that's the first place that you should always look into. And that's the first place that's the first thing you should always form as an individual. No individual should say to himself, I know there are some people that, take pride in the fact that they say, I don't have friends, or I have a small circle, or I don't need anybody. Okay, those kind of people are the kind of people that are the quickest or the easiest to develop mental health issues. Because at the point whereby you hit roadblocks or obstacles, you don't have any. You look to your left, you look to your right, there's nobody. And even when you're trying to call out, okay, people are not persuaded to respond to you because in the past you have not given, you have not sown, so there's no how you want to harvest. Okay, so it's important that we begin to build our own social circles, our social network. It doesn't have to be large, okay? But just have that community of people that you are actively engaged in and that, that you are giving to, and so that when it's time for you to also withdraw from that community, you have sown a lot that people too can rally around you and then offer support to you. So that's the first place. And then the second place is at the point whereby it seems like your social circle or social network is not giving you that kind of solution that you want to get. Seek professional help. I know in this part of the world, when we talk about mental issues, we tend to look at it as from a psycho part of view. You are not mentally well or something. But we need to begin to change.
It's beyond that.
Yes, we need to begin to change the mindset of people. The fact that you are not productive, the fact that the things that you love to do, you find it difficult to do, the fact that you're not finding joy in the normal daily activities means that there's something wrong and you need to seek help. Okay? And seeking help from a professional does not mean that that something is mentally wrong with you. It just means that you are looking for a solution so that you can become fully productive and you can really fulfill your existence as its way as a person.
So let me ask you this question, which I believe maybe it may be the last question because we don't have time. As a practitioner, you've gone out to the field where maybe you carry out your researches and, maybe get feedbacks also from people. Would you say there is an effective intervention, community interventions, that has maybe kind of mitigated, this mental health amongst mental health insecurity amongst communities?
Okay, so I know that there are activities that have been carried out by some NGOs, even by some professional bodies in the behavioral change space and all of that. It may not be big, okay? It may not be something that is well publicized. Okay, but I think that's where we actually need to put in more efforts now, whereby we are multiplying the efforts of these pockets of interventions that are going on in different communities and different places that we find it. So then we need to amplify those work because, so I was in a ride the other day and the rider was talking about a kidnapping issue that happened in Apo. And how all the what's the name now, traders had to gather money and all of that, and how people are scared to open shops and all of those other things. Mental health is now becoming a very, very big issue as a result of the insecurity that we have. Now, people are no longer comfortable to move around and eventually to begin to affect people in the workplace.
Yes.
Eventually to begin to affect people with how they relate, even with their loved ones. Okay, because I remember somebody was saying that
isolating
themselves.
themselves.
You want to tell your people to come back home, but you can't. You're even afraid to tell them to come back home because the road that they're going to
follow
to come back home is not safe for them to come home. You know, so it's going to have such an effect that eventually, as a nation, okay, we might not even be able to do anything meaningful with ourselves any longer. So it's important that we begin to amplify these efforts that are carried out in pockets in this community, so that people now begin to know where to find help when they need help, and people know what they need to do to cope with the situation that we find ourselves in, and then collectively as a people we begin to, you know, stand up for each other, hold up each other, and then until this passes away.
All right, thank you so much, Tosin Odedele, legal practitioner, I say legal practitioner, behavioral change practitioner. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And we do hope that when we call on you again next time, you'll be able to join us.
And I love the awesome takes he has given us this morning. You know, we've drawn from community
Maybe you should
to
add
social
legal
media.
practitioner to your
And we do hope that our viewer have been able to take one or two things from what our coach has said this morning. You know, we have been talking about insecurity and its impact on your mental health. It is important that you seek help. It is important that you know that you draw from your social circle, just so you're not alone and you're not at the risk of deteriorating mental health.